Random ass question. RAQ.
Brian, you have a rack.
Yeah, that was a nice rack.
3, 2, 1.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, welcome back to Server Restart In. It's a weekly World of Warcraft podcast where three opinionated players get together to discuss their current thoughts and opinions about the current state of the game. I just started drinking. I can't be this tongue-tied already. Jesus Christ. My name is Jim.
Sure you can.
Yeah, I can. My name is Jim, I believe, and I'm
Jim.
joined by I'm Brian. I'm joined by Kristen
Hi.
and Brian, as you've already met.
Hi, Jim.
Matt.
Hi, Brian. Yes.
Oh my god.
And so we are a few days away from the worldwide launch of Burning Crusade Classic. Not TBC Classic, but just BC Classic. Because whatever. They dropped the.
Did they really?
Sure.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's Burning Crusade Classic.
That's funny.
It's whatever. You know,
I guess
who
it probably
cares?
always was. I guess I don't know. Well, I thought it was cool to say TBCC. TBCC. Yeah.
TBCC.
TVCC.
Yeah, no, I mean, but whatever, so.
CCTV.
Oh my god. No, but we've so I guess a week and a half ago or whatever, the pre-patch stuff launched. You could start making your Blood Elf female characters since there are no males, and
no males.
your Draenei.
And you can't boost them, and I'm still super salty about that. So
Right,
thanks,
so, yeah.
Blizzard, for giving me something to be super salty about. Appreciate that.
But so there was that, and Jesus, what else? So yeah, I made a bunch of Blood Elves, made a hunter, I made a priest, made a paladin. The hunter, I got up pretty good.
It's like
Are you going for the Blood Elf army?
No,
it's like
Okay.
Goldilocks and the
No.
Three Bears, but it's Jim and his
I
blood elves.
I made a priest so that while we were leveling,
We
we
would
could
have
have a
heals?
healer,
Yeah.
and at the same time, Kristen made a warlock. And then she decided to keep playing the warlock without me and leveled the warlock way past my priest. And then
No, I only
you-
did that because you had started leveling a hunter, and
so that I had
like,
something to do in the off time when we weren't playing together.
Oh.
And so you just decided to just move on with life and leave me behind.
I did.
So my priest is languishing in the starting area.
Yeah. it's
So I made a
okay.
hunter. I
So
got
is
him
my
up pretty
warlock.
good. And then I started a paladin so that we could kind of have a tank character. And so just some of my personal experience going through all this stuff and, what the fuck is the starting zone where Silver Moon is? What is that even called?
Sun something island.
So, yeah, mist maybe.
Sunstrider?
Maybe.
Sounds ish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the first area and then Ghostlands and all
Just
that stuff.
call it the first area.
Yeah, the Blood Elf starting area.
It doesn't need a name.
And then, going through Ghostlands, and it's just like, I just have all these memories of doing this before, and it's just like, I remember
Yep.
leveling Blood Elf characters, the few that I have through there.
Yep.
And it's just like, everything just, it's amazing how different that starting zone is from the
Yeah.
regular classic ones,
Yeah.
the original race ones.
It's way
Question.
more streamlined.
Random ass question. RAQ. Can you fly in the Ghostlands
No.
in
No,
retail?
You
No.
still cannot,
No.
or Blood
Or-
Mist Island or Azure Mist Island or wherever the
The
fucking
Draenei
yeah.
starting area. You can't fly there either. No, you can't. They
How the fuck is that still a thing?
well
I
because
don't know,
I think they're on different instances.
but that doesn't.
Well, like technically speaking, I'm sure I could probably guess why it's still a thing, but why the fuck have they not gone back and fixed that already?
I mean, because I think they figure that there aren't that many people that are going through it now, so it's not worth it. No, there's no real reason to go out there.
They're not
Even
worth
though-
paying $15 a month.
Even though there is a dungeon out there, right? Like
No, there. Well, like
aren't
okay,
those the
Zulamon
and
Zulamon's out there,
yeah,
and I guess technically it's a dungeon now. It was a raid,
yeah,
you know, back in this time, but
right.
that's the only dungeon. There's not one for the other one, is there? For the Draenei side?
No.
No.
I mean, so here's the kicker, though, is that the Sunstrider Island all the way down to Ghostlands or whatever it's all on the same. It's all on the same. Whatever you want to call that. I don't want to call it shard. That's a bad term.
Right.
Zone. It's all in the same server zone, whatever you want to call it.
It's an instance.
As the 2.3 or 2.4 patch island up north, whatever that's called.
That's Sunstrider Island. That's where
Sunstrider Island's the starting area.
Okay, well then it's the one with the dungeons and the raids, right?
Yes, that like the very last patch they added that island up there.
Sunwell?
It's on the same zone line as the zone. I don't know what this I don't know what to call it.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about though? You could swim from Sunstrider Island over to Kel'Thas? Nope.
No.
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
Kel'Thas, like where the where Sunwell is?
Yes,
Sunwell.
that's
Yeah.
what he's talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
You could swim all the way over there.
Right, but you can't fly over there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So technically speaking, there is quite a bit of content they could unfold
Right.
by enabling flight. Doesn't it seem weird though? That's
So
like,
the
those are
reason
some of the
is
last zones you can't fly in at all.
Yeah.
they introduced
Unless you count underwater.
they introduced old world flying in Cataclysm, I believe,
Yeah.
which is when they redid all the zones in the old world except for the Draenei and
two.
the Blood
Yeah.
Elf starting areas.
Yeah.
So that's when Ogremar got redone. That's when everything got redone. So they just didn't do that because they didn't feel the need to do it or whatever, and they'd never gone back.
I think I remember them saying. I think it was they were instanced, and it wasn't. That was the reason why they weren't doing it. Like
Well, that's a dumb
Yeah,
reason.
it's almost essentially
Well,
the same
I
thing
mean-
as like zoning into Outlands,
yeah.
right? It's the same situation. It's an entire instance area, but even still, though, even for the sake of continuity between in the world itself, I'm surprised they really haven't gone back and tried to
Right.
fold that back in.
I
I just
just-
thought it was interesting because it's something I just thought about.
Right.
The fact that those are some of the only zones you cannot fly in that you think you could if you were just there,
Right. Yeah.
and
just
that's interesting.
because so you have to cross into an instance thing to be able to, and I remember that being a thing.
Yeah, because you get if you fly over, do you get instanced in?
You can't. There's an
Can't.
invisible wall.
Yeah.
Oh,
You have to go through the portal,
Yeah.
which is in Eastern Plaguelands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in the north part, and it takes you in the Ghostlands. And
Yeah.
the only way to get to Azure Mist Isle or wherever the Draenei thing is to take the boat, which instances you
Yep.
and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, that's I don't know why. It's you would think that sure maybe they weren't going to do it when they did Cataclysm because they had so much else to do
Sure.
for the patch, but they never. But I mean, you had
never went
four.
back.
You've had
Would have been
four. Other,
pretty cool if they did add it in, though. It would have been
I
pretty
mean,
cool if
but-
they had.
But really, who goes there now? Like I
Does
think
it?
and
That's
that's
true. I mean, it
Does-
would
I
just be
think
cool
that's
to be able to
why
like
they.
fly straight into
I
that.
think
Sure,
that's why they
it's-
probably didn't do it. Was
means-
because you're a low level character, right? Who doesn't have flying at a low level when you're there, and then what reason is there for you to go back as a high level character?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Go back and
RP.
RP.
Just experience the environment.
I mean-
farm transmogs from the thing. Go to the dungeon.
I
go
mean,
help
yeah,
new
now
players.
there's a dungeon, so
I mean,
yes,
to be fair,
but,
you had to go and talk to Sylvanas there once.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
for
you were a Sylvanas loyalist at
really?
the end, yeah, you had to go to Windrunner
I
Spire.
was not a loyalist. I was a dirty, dirty traitor.
See, there is a reason for because nobody wanted to run all the way there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why. But no, it's just being in those zones. It's just like you like half remember
Yeah.
like everything. It's like I'm sitting there doing something like, man, this I kind of remember doing this, and I kind of know the general area where I need to go. It's like, oh no, I got to go over here, and it's just like, oh wait, I think I remember that, like this island out in the lake and to the northeast of Tranquillin or whatever. I'm like, I think there's a quest there, and there's a ghost there, and you have to go collect the
Yep.
medallions and fight the little aqua elemental at the
Yep.
bottom and all that stuff.
I
I'm
waited.
like, I remember that.
I waited until I got underwater breathing on my warlock to be able to do that. So it was like 2 levels like higher than the quest, but I was like, it was worth it because I didn't have to worry about it.
Well, I don't know. There's definitely a lot of nostalgia, and
Yeah.
I guess to circle back to what I was trying to talk about before Brian had a rack.
Brian, you have a rack.
Nice rack.
Yeah, it was a nice rack, but
Oh gosh.
but yeah, it's just like it's you can definitely tell, and I had read about this before too, people talking about this, but like these starting areas are a lot more streamlined and cohesive, and it's just like they put more time into it, because on my paladin, I'm pretty sure I was level 21 by the time I left, and do I have any more quests there? I have. Well, no, I still have like the paladin class quests where I have to go to like the different dungeons and get some things or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, which I don't really count that as like a zone quest, everything
Right.
else is done, and you're like 2021 and all that stuff, and it's just like that's pretty good. I don't know if it was like that.
Uh-huh. It
Back
was
then?
it was the better leveling experience back then. Yes, absolutely.
I feel like I do remember it being like at least 20 by the time we got out of
Yep.
there, which was pretty incredible.
Yep.
Yeah,
And pretty quickly, like way more
comparatively
intuitive.
more quickly, but also you have to think about too when they introduced TBC, and I'm pretty sure with the classic version too, or I know with the classic version, I believe that they've readjusted the experience requirements
Yeah,
for
it went
things.
down.
So like the experience curve was loosened or dropped down or whatever, so that you could level up to 60 faster. So you were either getting more experience or it took less experience. I don't know which way.
I think it was a combination of like the experience levels were lowered like 10-20%, and then the quest given XP was raised as well.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how that affects other starting areas and whatnot, but goddamn, I'm not gonna tell you right. I'm gonna tell you right now. I miss the Zeppelin to Thunderbluff because I have to go there to turn some dude's head in, and
to turn some dude's head in.
And we were there the other day because you ported us there, and I didn't pick up the flight path, so now I have to run from Ogremar to Thunderbluff.
Or you could just ask Brian to log in and port you back there.
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah, 'cause
could.
I'm the only non-bot mage, boosted mage.
Well, we
on that server.
do play on a super heavy
Alliance
server,
Yeah.
which is, I believe it's like 97% Alliance.
Whatever.
I don't care.
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
not there.
I think they said that it was. They were talking about it in chat, and I think they said whatever they were pulling it from. They said it was 98%. But
Oh.
since the patch had came out, it had dropped to 97.
Oh.
or something
Well,
like that.
okay. You guys are thinking this is the looking for group chat, and these are all like the fucking internet trolls.
They did have sources
They were
though, so that's the only reason I believe them.
They were so trolly though. That chat was so
It's
trolly.
not too bad. It's not as
no.
bad as it could be.
You
It's
wait.
people actually having a real conversation the other day, and I was very surprised by it.
You
no,
must have had a different experience than I did because all I got was conspiracy theorists.
No, I think it just depends on who's on and when they're on. Because like earlier today, they were on there just doing like, God, they were fucking quotes from something, and it was just like okay, I get these references. These are like old movies that they're quoting or whatever, and stuff like that. But it was all just like bits and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and like people are like, people try to form groups.
Yeah.
And like, there's like nobody to form groups with.
Yeah. And then they come on and they complain, and they're like, "Why does the server suck so much?" And it's like, you know what? Go to a different fucking server. Like,
No,
really?
don't. Please don't.
Go to a different server if you want. Like, come on now. Yeah.
You stay.
I mean, I don't care if people stay or not.
Of course you don't, because you're not
I'm
really playing. But I don't know. I'm having a really good time playing. It's like now I'm kind of getting to the part where it's gonna open up because I'm out of the starting zones, and I'm gonna have to kind of like blaze a trail.
Harder. Yeah,
it is gonna get harder, and it's just like I'm gonna be like, Brian, come run me through some dungeons, so I can get.
I like it. I think it's fun to.
And then Brian will die because he pulls too much and he doesn't mage well.
I didn't say I was perfect.
But and I did get to res him because we both died in BFD, and I apparently took the short way back and he took the long way around. So I'm like, just hang tight, I'll res you because I'm almost in the dungeon. So it was nice. It was I got to be
really
useful.
well.
I got to be useful,
then.
and then we took a break because we had things to do.
Yeah.
Then we came back and finished it.
Yeah.
Oh, and that guy that you said that was over in that corner that we went and killed, you thought was a rare or whatever?
Yeah.
He's a follow-up guy that you have to kill for a quest.
Oh.
Oh.
So he's a named mob, like Jethos or whatever, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you go turn in one of the quests to the troll dude down at the camp, he gives you the follow-up quest to actually kill that guy.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I ran into that. I'm like, oh, okay. But it's just like we were running. So I went in from Ogremar out the northwest entrance through Ashenvale up the river, and then through like the level 30 demon area, which was
Yeah.
rough. But Brian
Yeah.
came and met me there and guided me to safety. But it's just like running through Ashenvale at this time in like the game's history. It's just so many memories. You know, I'm like, man, it's just like it brought back the kind of feelings that I want
Yeah.
from a game. Like I was feeling like the awe and stuff like that from like when we were first playing and I was really first getting into the game and exploring these areas, and it's just like, because now there is a sense of danger. You know what I mean? It's like I
died a lot.
Yeah, it's like if I'm not careful, I'm gonna die.
Yep.
And it's just like, but
That was very
It's
frustrating.
an adventure. It really is an adventure at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's just like, it's not safe for me to go out. We're not these overpowered hero characters that have been around for the last 15 years, just absorbing all the power from the world and just being, basically gods walking amongst mortals and all that shit.
Yeah.
Striding into the afterlife and doing all this other fucking shit. And we're just adventurers. Like, I mean, sure, we're kind of like, we're doing some insane feats. Like when you kill the guy in Deathholm and take his head to Sylvanas or whatever, she's like, oh, you did this yourself, huh? It's not bad. Which, I mean, of course she's gonna appreciate me, but
Oh my god. Oh.
but I mean, it's just, I mean, she sees my value. That's all I have to say.
Wow.
Full of shit. My
Unlike
goodness.
that terrible warlock, right?
Yeah, that warlock that just ignored me.
Yeah, yeah.
Good
yeah.
riddance.
Dang.
No, but I mean, it's just like you go through and you do these things, and like killing a character that's like a leader of like a small faction of Scourge or whatever is a big deal, right? It's like you're starting out on like this is the start of the hero's journey. You're starting with these little like miraculous type things or these feats and these achievements of like, you know, super adventurer type thing. You're not just like some normal soldier going out there. You're like really like making a name for yourself, and it just really it feels like that, and it's just like that's just lost now, you know. And I think that that's potentially just because of the way the game has become. It's more of a vehicle now for telling a really big story, and it's not really meant like you're meant to start seeing more of the bigger picture directly, whereas back then, you know, it's like you don't see.
Problem is, it's been like that for a while, though. Man.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
I
I
mean,
know. It
It
was
really rolls back to Burning Crusade. I mean,
well.
more so probably in Lich King. I think is
I
where
would
you kinda
say-
get front and center.
I would say Lich King really started bringing that stuff to the forefront because then, what was after that? Cataclysm,
Yeah.
big old Deathwing, right? And then what? Pandaland, you know what I mean? And it's just like here's like this big old new thing going on, and it's just like it was more like Pandaria wasn't that bad, but you still had, you know, it's like these overarching like these big story arcs and all that kind of stuff that were more the forefront, and it was more about you were just a player, part of the a part of a team of adventurers, because it was like if you go back to the Wrathgate and all that stuff, like the canon behind it isn't one adventurer did this. It was horde adventurers.
Right.
It's like the champions from this faction, like, and it's multiple ones. So you don't really have this sense of I went out and accomplished something. Now it's like me and everybody else that's just as awesome as I am went out and did all this stuff.
Yeah. I feel like that, if they put more emphasis on that, more emphasis on multiple people instead of us being the chosen one or whatever we are, you know what I mean? If they put more emphasis on people doing it as a group, it might feel a little bit better, because then it makes sense. Like, you're taking down these big people as a group, and you're not just, you know, the savior of Azeroth, or, you know what I mean? Like, you're one of the saviors of Azeroth.
Maul Walker.
Well, I
You
think
know?
that's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I think
Maul Walkers. Unite.
yeah. I don't know. It just seems like back when we first started, the world was so big.
Yeah.
Like it felt huge. Like running around takes forever. Even if you get a mount, running around takes forever. Flight paths take forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a 5-minute ride to go from Orgrimmar out to that fucking beach campment or whatever out in
Yeah.
south of Darkshore.
I mean,
Maybe not quite 5 minutes, but I mean it takes time. The world felt big,
yeah.
and as the game progressed, the world got smaller and
Yeah.
smaller.
Well, I feel like that's a casualty of casual play now. You know what I mean? People like things in easily digested chunks now because people have less time to play. It's an MMO, but it's an MMO that can easily be digested in small amounts of time, which kind of feels you know.
I think it's more the emphasis has shifted from the journey to the end.
Right, to the destination.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything is more focused on what happens when you're max level now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
how did I get here? Because
Yeah.
we were talking about today, Brian. You were talking about how like dungeons are like hidden away. It's like, yeah, you need them to get like decent gear to move on and all that stuff, but like the quest for dungeons are all over the place. For Ragefire Chasm, there's one right outside. There's one from Veramathras in Undercity, which takes you 10 minutes to go back to get, if you don't have it. There might be another one somewhere, but I have a Paladin class quest in there to get some stuff, but it's just like you don't have a hub for a dungeon anymore. And like, I think it was Cataclysm when they moved all the quest givers inside the dungeon.
Yeah.
So that way,
Right at the
when you
beginning.
went in, you could pick up the quest for the dungeons. Because I know in retail for BFD, when you go in, there's some trolls and stuff in there that give you quests. Whereas,
Yeah, they did that all the way through Lich King too.
I didn't think they put them in
Because
there.
the Lich King dungeons, like when you zone into like Utgard Keep and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, okay,
yeah.
okay. I think that's when when Lich King came out, the Lich King dungeons had that.
Yeah.
I think in Cataclysm, they moved all the old school dungeon quest givers into the dungeon because the dungeons all changed at Cataclysm.
Right.
I don't.
Maybe so, actually. Yeah.
I think
I'm not sure.
I think the older ones were changed.
I think they did wind up moving some in Lich King as well. I feel like that was one of them. The Pinnacle or Keep was one of them. But there was stuff I think I do remember. The Ulror based dungeons that had stuff in there when you zoned in. So I don't know. I mean, point being, like the focus of dungeons was so. It was nowhere near as heavy.
Right.
But the reality was you kind of needed to go to the dungeon to get the gear to survive, to do the adventures, the questing outside of them.
Yeah.
I thought it was odd that like they really didn't emphasize them on maps. The quests were so spread out that you didn't really have a chance to always just run into them necessarily. Like it wasn't like an off the beaten path type situation where you see the quest, you go pick it up. Some of the stuff like he's talking about, like you got to go to a whole nother hub, and typically there was something that there was a hook for another quest that brought you there to get that point. And you didn't necessarily have to follow that path because it was nowhere near as strictly linear as it is nowadays. Like. It's very interesting. These observations are interesting because, again, you get to go back and experience the way that they kind of hook these things together. And there is a drastic difference in the way that they designed the environment around questing then versus now.
Yeah.
Because now for sure, there's always a 3 to 5 quest hub somewhere, and a hub being like a person or a town or
an outpost
some location
or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and there's usually like a handful of quests right there that you go out and do and come back.
Yeah.
Here we're talking about, like, remember the other day we're leveling in Eastern Plaguelands and you come upon Tyrion Fordring.
Yeah.
Out in his hermit hut on the other side of the map, and the stuff that you have to collect for him is all over the zone. Like,
Yeah.
And it's massive. So I don't know. It's interesting, and I'm not gonna like going through and playing. It's painful if you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And it does get annoying having to kill 30 or 20 things or get 15 items that don't always drop.
Oh,
But I will say, I will say the adventure to survive and find these things there's such inherent gameplay value there that I think they lost over the years.
Right. And I think what you're talking about is you are rewarding a player for exploring.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas now, in like retail and in most games right now, it's like you go here, you do these quests, they give you the breadcrumb to the next area, you go there, you do these quests or whatever.
Well, it's not even necessarily just exploration. It's the fact that you're allowing the game to give the player value just through the adventure itself, not by just creating more content and making it easier to do. I think there's a huge line between super difficult content and I don't know what you would call the other part of that, but more of the action RPG type style that I feel like we really have today. Like I don't need a 50-page story about the zone, and go through all the quests and learn about all the events and stuff like that. Sure, it's compelling at the time, but the replay value is disgusting. The reality is, like, if you send me on a quest to go find a golden chicken and it takes me 2 hours to do it, there's inherent value built into that adventure.
Well,
right?
As long as the rewards are comparable, I guess. You know what I mean? It's just like, I get what you're saying.
But, most of the reward is probably the XP that you're getting in those situations.
Right.
You can tell that's how a lot of the older style quests were built. But, I mean, even still, though, when you consider the perspective of the old game, being just another adventurer versus the modern game, which you're just another semigod in the afterlife, like, there is a drastic difference in the context at which you're playing the game.
Yeah.
And whenever you have the ability to go and pick pumpkins for a quest and struggle to live through it.
Yeah.
Like
you got
I don't know. I know a lot of it's probably grindiness, and I do like grindiness to a certain extent. But at the same time, I do like those, pick up 2 or 3 quests and it takes you half an hour or so to do. And the adventure was getting there, living through it, and then, finding the random chest or finding the random rare and getting the random awesome upgrade or something like that. And even us just trying to live through some of those fights together where I pulled too much was kind of fun. So
yeah, I'm sitting there like spam healing you, and it's just like when we ran through Shadowfang Keep a couple times, and you would pull some stuff, and like you would just face pull him, right? And I'd be like, oh, he's getting hit, I'm gonna throw a heal on him. And he hadn't done anything to damage it, and all of a sudden they just stopped, looked at me. But one fucking time I got I don't know if it was a Frost Nova or whatever, and I cast, Blessing of Freedom on myself.
Yeah, I think so.
And again, not a heal, not a damage thing, but all of a sudden they just fucking came at me. And I'm like, I didn't fucking attack anything, nothing, just boom. And I'm like, what the fuck is this nonsense?
Poor Jim.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get a fucking shield out of that run.
Aww.
I did get a saddlebag, though. Yeah, bag space sucks. Because quest items take up bag space.
Yep.
And stacking is garbage.
Yep.
And it's just like
20.
Yeah, if
5.
that 10. It's just
Some
like
of them's 10, yeah.
But no, it's like I do miss, getting a quest that just says, hey, there's a thing out there somewhere in this general vicinity that, and it's just like when you first come into Tranquillin, right? And you talk to the undead guy, and or the blood elf. I don't remember if it was the blood elf or an undead. But he's like,
there's an undead there, yeah.
Oh, there's a bunch of them there, but he's whichever one's like
right there on the left as you're running down.
Yeah,
there's somebody dying, but there's the undead that's trying.
No. I'm talking about actually in Tranquillin, where the guy he's like, I've been waiting on these goods to show up, but they were supposed to be coming this way, but I think that the thing got attacked or whatever, and you have to go out and find it. And you go down. And he's like, you go down this way. And it's by the fork in the road and all that stuff, and you go out there and you can see a cart, but you don't know what the fuck you're clicking on because guess what? There's no fucking sparkles. You don't have quest sparkles. You don't have glowing highlighted objects. You have to actually like kind of look around and like mouse over things and investigate to find the things that you need.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It makes it so that you actually have to fucking pay attention.
Yeah.
And it's not a mindless game. Yeah. And granted, I've done these quests a lot. Maybe not these so much because I don't think I leveled that many blood elves. I really think I only leveled the one. Maybe 2.
I leveled a lot of blood elves.
But when I came into the game, blood elves were already out. It was like close to the end of Burning Crusade
Yeah.
when I really got into it and all that stuff. And, so I made a Blood Elf and all stuff, but I made mostly undead, a couple Tauren and all that stuff. And, oh man, when they made Tauren able to be druids? No. Trolls. When they made trolls, I had created a Tauren druid. I was like, okay, I played it a little bit or whatever. But when they were like, oh, trolls can be druids now, I went delete and made a new one with the same name because I didn't pay for fucking race changes. I have not paid or I have not changed a character's appearance, name, race, or nothing.
I know you get so mad at me when I do it too.
Okay. So
You've never at all?
Never.
No. He just makes new characters.
Well, if
you unsupporting piece of shit.
Look, no.
How dare you only pay your subscription? You worthless piece of shit.
You are not going to character shame me.
I do it enough for the both of us.
Oh, yes,
look,
I am.
Oh, no, you're going to...
Because I'm pretty sure I've spent $1,000 in server transfer.
I've never transferred. I've never transferred servers.
Oh,
my God.
I have.
I just make a new character. And so this is why.
I would try to follow people that I enjoy playing with, and you know this because I've done it several times.
Look, so when I make characters that I'm actually going to play, I spend time to make this character, right? Like, okay, I got this character looking the way I want him to look, right? Great. And then, like, I was for like the first 5 or 6 characters, I came up with names or whatever. And now it's like if I make a character, I just use random until I find something I like. Mm-hmm. And, I get some pretty decent ones, I think. But I make these characters, and that's the character to me. You know what I mean? It's just like, that is this character. So then I play this character, and it becomes an entity unto itself, and it's just like, it's like, how people get mad when a character gets cast in like some sort of visual medium that's like a book character or like it's a written.
Oh, and it's not how they picture
and it doesn't match how they think it should look and all that stuff, or it doesn't necessarily match the source material. Like a lot of people got up in arms for the Dark Tower movie when they had Idris Elba as Roland.
Oh, he did such a good job.
The movie was garbage.
Yeah, but he did a good job.
He did a pretty decent job. But, again, the character is basically described as looking like Clint Eastwood, right? Like, that is how he's referred to. You got, there's Odetta, which is the black lady from the wheelchair or whatever, who when she slips into her fucking like angry black lady like character, like her personality or whatever, calls him a cracker and all that stuff. So the character is pretty much like a white character. So a lot of people got up in arms about all that stuff, and it's just like, I get it.
It looks like the book cover originally had like a white character.
Yeah, well, he was
very Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and that's primarily like the original art, but like artwork aside, because there's plenty of cases where cover art does not match anything from any of the description of characters in the book. So that's not necessarily a good indicator of it. But throughout the text, there are plenty of things that point to him being like Clint Eastwood. So a lot of people get upset about that. But I get that way with my characters. It's like, I made these characters. I have no reason to change them. I like the way they look. I like their names. Like I made this character to be this character, so I see no reason to, do whatever. It's like I have a Blood Elf rogue that eventually became a bank tune, and I kind of abandoned the character, right? Didn't level him. He's like whatever level he got bumped down to from the squish or whatever. But when I wanted to play a rogue, I just made a new rogue because I think he was a bank character, so I needed, and I was going to put him in the guild, so I made a new one.
You did like just running around with your diamond polearm or diamond staff and top hat?
No.
Is that what most bank alts were back then?
Yeah.
I do. Okay, I have no fucking clue because I
The
was
diamond tipped cane.
I was not into that
Yeah.
shit.
Yep.
I had no fucking clue about that. That's something over my head. I don't know. But all I have to
That's
say,
what my bank alt had.
Yep.
a lot of that stuff, I wasn't as into it from the beginning. So a lot of that stuff I never got into. I didn't look stuff up. I just wanted to come on and play the game. And I didn't really get involved with playing with large groups of people. So a lot of like those like cultural type things never really made their way to me. You know, like some stuff I get, most of the stuff, like little things like that. No, I have no fucking clue. But I don't know.
You were saying you enjoyed the game a lot, but you just didn't want to support them any further than your subscription.
I was also like a poor college student, so yeah, that's pretty much right. I didn't have disposable income, and the only reason I played mainly at that point was to play with Kristen. So
Oh,
It was fun. We had a good time.
we did have a good time, and I'm like fuck it, I'll pay that money to do it, you know. And but like everything else, I'm
so
like,
you were paying for your girlfriend's time. Is that what
no,
No.
I was paying for my time
Yeah.
on a game
It just
that we were
happened to
playing
be
together.
that I was paying for that time too. We were both paying for that time.
So it's a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, I am enjoying reliving this experience. You know,
Did you think you were going to though? Did you think you were going to get pulled into BC this way?
I don't know. I mean, it's just like I played Classic, and I was enjoying playing Classic. It was a lot harder, I think, getting up there, like, because I was playing a rogue and all that stuff. I think that's a little bit more difficult than some of the other classes because you have to be very careful, and Sap breaks stealth for the most part, which I don't know if they changed that in TBC or not, but I don't know if it's the fact that it's the Burning Crusade per se. It's just that it's this zone, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like that. It's just, I don't know. It feels, you know.
You're pretty much going to walk into Hillsbrad and then be done.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, okay, this is shit now.
I don't know. I mean,
Maybe.
it all just depends. I mean, I can only go so far by myself.
Yeah.
And if there's not decent people
Yeah.
floating around to play with, then it's just gonna kind of peter out.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That's the problem.
And I'll probably start another character and go through it again. Just make another new character. But it's like, I do have to say, my overall experience, though, with it, and maybe it's just because it's the Blood Elf starting area, and it's just like something that like I was really familiar with, but it's been very, very just like comforting. You know, it's just like, it's like an old book that you pull out that you read, and it's like, you know, it's like you remember like the first couple times you read it and all that stuff and how you felt, and like it almost brings you back to that time, and you can kind of remember where you were or what you were doing around that time and like in your life and all that stuff. And it's just like, you know, it's just one of those nostalgia things that just really resonates. And I think, I mean, I don't want to say, oh, they did a good job, because I mean, they did do a good job bringing it over, but I mean, they already did a good job when they made this shit back the first time.
Yeah.
They didn't really change much. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so it's like, yes, I can see now that this was a good job at the time, and I can appreciate it more now because I think I'm a better player than I was back then, for sure. Because one, I can write the shit out some fucking mouse over macros and whatnot, and you know, it's just, I don't know.
Well, you're more aware of all the things that you can, like all the buffs that you could get, all the things that you can do in the game. Like, you're more aware of that stuff, whereas before you might not have been.
Oh yeah, no.
You
When I
know?
first started, MMOs were just pretty much new to me. I mean, they were fairly new to begin with anyway, and this was, and it was just you had to pay attention, and it's just like you still have to pay attention, but like I know more about it now because I've already done this before.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's like a brand new concept for me. It's old, and I'm looking through it different through a different lens or whatever, but it's still good. So, yeah. I don't know. That's all I had to say on that stuff. I don't know if anybody wants to keep talking about it because I got some other stuff kind of like in the pipeline.
You're just waiting to.
Nope,
piss me
we're not talking
off.
about that yet.
When are we going to talk about it? I'm so curious what it is that it's going to make me angry.
Did you look at any of the 9.1 spoiler, any more spoiler stuff
Not
at all?
spoiler stuff. There was something I saw that I've like, huh? Oh, it was a title for a YouTube thing, something about rescuing Arthas
Oh.
in the storyline coming up. So I think they're going to bring a lot of that stuff because like Elun's going to be there, Arthas, Sylvanas, all that stuff. I mean, I think there's good stuff, but like, no, I had just said some stuff pulled up from like PTR builds or whatever about some like the new systems coming in. So
Let's rip it.
yeah, so they're adding in what they call shards of domination. So basically, you're going to get gear from the new raid that will have slots in it that you can use to put a shard in. And a shard is kind of like a gem, but instead of a stat boost, it's like an overall. It's not like gems are, but they do have effects. And there's 3 types, and since
Is this
it's
corruption? Like,
no. So there's
Oh,
there's
you know it is.
no, I don't
it's
think
corruption 2.0.
you get to pick what you go on. No, stop. Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda.
So there's 3 types of there's 3 classifications, and each classification has 3 types. So you got Blood, Frost, and Unholy shards. So which kind of makes sense because it's probably all like kind of Death Knight-y, and those are the 3 specs. And each one has an offensive type, a healing type, and a tertiary type. Which I don't know why they call it tertiary. That might just be a tertiary. I guess is probably more PvP because it looks like they're kind of either leech based, absorb based, or speed based, or whatever. But anyway,
those would be. Those seem like they would be decent in Mythic Plus too.
right, and so there's 5, and each of them has 5 ranks. So it looks like there's 5. Oh no, wait. Okay, no, there's 3 types of each. So like you got blood offensive, blood healing, blood tertiary, and each one of those has 5 ranks, and you can rank them up by if you get a drop from one of the bosses called the Stygian Ember, which just kind of boosts the benefit of it. And I think there's a total of 9 of them, and a maximum of 5 can be socketed at any time. So you can have 5, and I think if you have 3 of the same type, so like 3 blood, 3 frost, or 3 unholy, you get a quote-unquote set bonus for it, which are available when you're in the Maw or Torghast or the raid. So this is, I think, their answer to like the PvP bonuses that they were doing, or so this is kind of like a raid set bonus type thing. So
Wait. In addition to tier sets?
I think this is, I don't know if this is a tier set thing or what. Tier sets might not necessarily have set bonuses. It might just be...
Tier sets always have set bonuses. That's what...
I don't know. This is just one thing. I don't know if this is in addition to it or not. It doesn't say. It just says that some gear will have slots for these things. So this might be in addition to a tier set. So, and it's just like damage increase, health increase. It's all very baseline what it is.
So what determines what has slots? Is it the way that it rolls?
It just says select gear from that drops from the bosses have domination sockets on them. So it's probably are going to be predetermined that some pieces of gear are going to have this available. That's all it says.
Why do they make things so fucking complicated? Why don't they just add a Valor system like they did with the Mythic Plus thing and make it so you can just level up your gear? Right? Like, why do they got to make it so complicated?
I don't know.
Like, I don't understand. Like, it feels like they're trying to make raid gear be more comparable to Mythic Plus gear, right? Because right now that's the path, the PvP or the Mythic Plus to get the good gear, and then raid gear just like completely fell to the wayside. So now they're just going to make it more complicated to get that instead of just doing what they already did just with Mythic Plus, but just make a separate path for, call it something else other than Valor if they have to do that. But
Path of the Titans.
yeah, whatever. Yeah. Like, then they can finally get a use for that. Woo!
This is just
You know?
this is the system that they're going to put in to make raid gear the best for raiding.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that just seems...
I don't know. We'll have to see what the drop rates are and all that stuff. And I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think this was going to be the thing that was going to piss you off.
Oh, really?
No, this wasn't it.
Oh.
You're-
You know
so
what?
there's
There's more. Oh, my God.
Yep.
I'm going to have a goddamn aneurysm by the time this podcast ends.
Well, let's
Jesus.
just go ahead and get into it.
All right.
So,
let's get into
we
it.
all know right now that there are the achievements for Mythic Plus stuff, right?
Yep.
You got your Keystone Explorer, your Keystone Conqueror, and your Keystone Master. Currently, it's based off of beating all of the dungeons
Yeah.
on a certain key. It's no longer going to be that for Season 2.
What's it going to be?
It's going to be your Mythic Plus rating, which is that system that they're bringing in,
Oh, Raider.io.
right?
Awesome.
So, which
Just go ahead and shit all over it. Just go ahead and just take a huge
I
shit.
mean, I...
I haven't even got to the worst part yet.
Oh, God.
So, people have been the levels are set. It's 750 for the first one, 1500 for the second, and 2000 for the third. Achievements. So, people have been doing the math, and like I think if you the scores are based on the timing and is it timing and deaths?
I'm sure that's what, like... Because deaths take away time for you.
So it says a small amount of points are awarded or subtracted based on how much faster or slower the dungeon was completed. So, and it says up to 10 points per one. It looks like it doesn't say. Oh, and you also get this. The score is accumulated by your highest key for a dungeon for both tyrannical and fortified. So the score is computed by your best key for whichever week, right? So you have a tyrannical week and a fortified week. And so it'll take the highest score, the highest or your best dungeon and the highest, that'll be the highest score. And but it's not equal, right? So your highest one awards 100% of the score, when the lower one gives you a third. So if your highest key is a 15 and your lowest key is a 10 or whatever, you get 100% of the 15 of the 100% of the 15 rating and a third of the other one. People are pretty upset because it looks like it says, let's see. So they did some math, and this is just based on what's on the PTR right now. This isn't necessarily finalized, but a plus 15 Keystone is completing, this is just in time, So probably, I don't know how close to the time limit that is, gives you 187 points. So if you do that dungeon on plus 15 for both tyrannical and fortified, you get about 250, which means you're going to be required to now do double dungeons to
Right, one for tyrannical and one for fortified.
to be able to get the Keystone Master.
Yeah.
So now, granted, you can do higher keys and get a higher score, and that kind of outweighs some of the lower scores. So if you can do like a 20 tyrannical, easy, but a 15 fortified is harder for your comp or whatever. It kind of tips the scale in your favor a little bit. I don't know. It just seems
Stupid.
Yeah. See, I knew you were gonna hate it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that Blizzard can do with Mythic Plus that will make me like it unless they get rid of the timers. Sorry.
Quit wiping stuff.
I know. There's nothing there's nothing they can do. It's just I wash my hands of it. I can't even like get angry about it anymore because it's just I'm going to have an aneurysm. Like there's just going to be yeah. It's frustrating to me. And I don't know if that's just because
At this point, a lot of times it just seems like they're just trying to build systems that can last a long time and they don't have to touch anymore.
yeah.
Like
it just
like think of Arena in general.
Yeah.
And how much it really hasn't changed in at its core in the past decade. So and that sucks because like I don't want dungeon systems just to become
that's
you know what I mean? Another automatic LFG, the LFD tool or whatever was a great addition, but added a lot of toxicity to the game in general.
so.
And I don't want more of that.
It seems like the problem is that the current game is again getting away from an MMORPG type system to an end game, right? Where you either you're playing the game to either do raiding, high dungeon things, or PvP, and like those are like the main core components of the game now. It's not, oh yeah, there's a story and they're so proud of the story that they're doing, and that's great. Spend more time on that and make people spend more time in the story. But because people don't want to do that, people don't want to play this as a fucking MMORPG anymore.
Yeah.
They want to play it as
Stupid competitive
as a
game.
dungeon, or as PvP, or as raid, right? Like that's why people play now. They don't play to experience leveling a character. They level a character to get to the end so they can do the end game shit. It has become completely an end game thing.
Yeah.
And that's why they're trying to develop these systems to have enough things for people to do at the end game where, like there's still
Which is
challenge.
completely ass backwards whenever they sit and develop a whole expansion where you level up.
Yeah.
Like, why spend all that time to create this amazing world and just bypass it with bullshit systems just to keep people, dare I say, subscribed?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just it, right? It's like, so you do have some people that want to see the story play out, right? So they're trying to appeal to the entire player base in some way, shape, or form with some system, right? They want to put in a decent story for the people that are enjoying the story. They want to put in cool gear for the people that just want to collect the gear. They want to put in the dungeon Mythic Plus stuff for the people that want to like try to do really well at that and push stuff higher for that. Same thing. They put in all this work on all these different raid tiers so that you can have super special fights at the end. Fight. I can't talk.
Fight.
And like PvP, they try to balance that so people can do PvP and all that stuff. And it's just like they're not making the game like they did with like TBC and all that stuff. It's like,
well,
all the raids and the dungeons were story vehicles.
Well, and not only that, though, they're making the rewards lopsided. So if you want to be competitive, you have to do things that you might not enjoy. And that feels bad.
Well,
I don't want a PvP. I dislike PvP.
Right, which is why they're changing the PvP gear to be 6. So, like, at equivalent level content, the PvP gear is going to be 6 item levels lower outside of PvP than it would be for, like, if you got it out of a dungeon. Like if a dungeon awards a 200 piece and you get something that would be a 200 piece in PvP, it's going to be a 194 out thing. So they're trying to, and again, the same thing with the set bonuses and all that stuff for the raid gear. They're trying to make that stuff better. Now, if they would do something for gear you get from Mythic Pluses to give it like a special bonus when you're in Mythic Plus to make it viable for there and less viable for raid, then that's great. But there's too much cross contamination between all this stuff, and like dungeons, you know, I don't know. I don't fucking know. I mean, I get why people want to do it, and I get why all this stuff is, but it's just like, again, going back to the way the old shit was, it's like these were just story vehicles. Yeah, you got some good gear, and yeah, it kind of made it easier to do some other stuff, but like dungeons, man, it's just like there's so much story behind them, and it's like you didn't go in, do a dungeon.
What was the catalyst to all this? What was the catalyst to Mythic Dungeon Plus, right? Like
Mythic
what?
Plus? Well, in
like
Mist,
what actually? Right, they had the special gear, right?
Well, they had the
For the
challenge mode
timers?
in Mist.
Yeah.
And you could get a special set of gear for that. And
All right, so let's find that designer, go back, and then
shoot
whoop
him.
his ass.
Yeah.
Oh my
All right,
gosh,
well,
Jim.
Yeah, let's. I don't know what you said. We're gonna go ahead and call it tonight.
Wait.
Before Jim digs himself a hole.
Why? What happened?
I said kill him, but
Oh my God!
because he was saying like
you
go
can
back.
just cut that out.
Just cut it.
Nah.
I mean,
I can't time travel, so I can't go back in time and kill the guy. So I mean,
can't you
it's,
just say
Jesus.
can't you just say in a video game? Isn't that what they do on Twitch whenever they say something controversial like that? Oh, I'm gonna beat his ass in a video game, so that way
Yeah, well, this
it
isn't
cancels
Twitch.
it out.
I don't care.
I'm
Anyway,
gonna beat his ass in a hot tub.
ooh, hot tub streams. All right.
Hot tub stream.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We talked a lot about Jim's experience with TBC stuff, and we, just kind of like how it just feels to play the old shit and how nice it was. And then we talked a little bit about some 9.1 systems, and then Jim just said some stupid shit that he probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, you could just cut it out.
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Nah, it's fine. All right.
Oh my God.
You guys catch us out, or oh my fucking God. You guys can check us out at facebook.com/server restart in. Choose a tweet at server_restart, and talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.